Let's be honest, life moves fast. Between the back-to-back meetings, looming deadlines, texts you forgot to answer, and that feeling you're always one step behind, it's easy to lose your center. You wake up already in a sprint, and by the time your head hits the pillow, you're too exhausted to even think about how you lived your day, let alone if you lived it well. That's exactly the kind of modern-day chaos the Daily Stoic was written for. This book isn't about retreating to a mountain to find peace. It's about finding clarity, strength, and peace in the middle of everything. Whether you're trying to build a business, ace your exams, lead a team, raise a family, or just make it through the day without losing your mind, this book gives you something solid to stand on. The Daily Stoic, written by best-selling author and media strategist Ryan Holiday, with insights from Stephen Hanselman, was released in 2016, but its message has roots that go back more than 2,000 years. And still, in a world obsessed with hustle, urgency, and overwhelm, it might be one of the most relevant books you could ever pick up. So what exactly is it? It's 366 daily meditations, one for every day of the year, including leap years. Each day, you're given a quote or short teaching from one of the legendary Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca, followed by a modern reflection written by Holiday. But this isn't just ancient wisdom dusted off with fancy words. It's raw, practical, unshakably real. It's like someone holding up a mirror and saying, "This is what matters. This is who you can be. Let's do better today." Now, Stoicism itself is often misunderstood. People hear the word and think emotionless, cold, detached. But real Stoicism is something else entirely. It's not about avoiding emotion, it's about not being ruled by it. It teaches you to separate what you can control from what you can't. To act with virtue no matter what's going on around you. To see adversity not as a threat, but as a training ground for strength. And let's face it, that's exactly the kind of mindset we need right now. Because whether you're a career-focused professional trying to keep your cool in high-stress meetings, a student managing deadlines while wondering what the future holds, or just someone trying to find meaning in this always-on, overconnected world, what Stoicism offers is a roadmap. A way to stay grounded, thoughtful, and resilient. A way to live better, not later, but right now. Each daily meditation is short, on purpose. You can read it with your morning coffee, on your commute, or before your next Zoom call. But don't mistake short for shallow. These pages go deep. Some days you'll find yourself nodding with clarity. Other days you'll feel challenged, maybe even called out. That's the point. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when something inside you says, "I can do better than this." Ryan Holiday wrote this book because he's lived the pressure. In his 20s, he was at the top of the corporate world, working with brands, shaping media, building influence. But behind all the success, he knew he needed something more, something to keep him centered when everything around him felt like a storm. And in Stoicism, he found it. Now, he's passed that gift on to us. In a time when distractions are endless, anger comes easy, and peace feels just out of reach, the Daily Stoic is a reminder that clarity is always available to you. That you can be strong without being hard. Calm without being passive. That you can live by principles, not moods. And maybe most importantly, that you can change your life not by overhauling everything, but by showing up each day with intention. This isn't just a book. It's a companion. A quiet teacher. A moment of stillness when the world gets loud. And if you let it, it'll help you build something most people only dream of. A life rooted in wisdom, guided by discipline, and lit by purpose. So take a breath. Slow down for just a moment. And get ready, not just to hear some ancient wisdom, but to learn how to live it. This book carefully organized month by month, with each month focusing on a specific Stoic theme or core principle. So, let's dive in January, clarity. January is the beginning. A fresh start. A new calendar, a new set of goals, and for many of us, a quiet promise that this year will be different. That this year, we'll live with more purpose, more peace, and more focus. That's why the Daily Stoic begins with the theme of clarity. Because if we don't see clearly, if our minds are clouded with distraction, emotion, or confusion, everything else we do will be off course. Think of it like trying to steer a ship in a fog. Without clarity, you don't just drift, you end up somewhere you never meant to go. The Stoics believe that clarity isn't just helpful, it's essential. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, was also the emperor of Rome. He led armies, ruled an empire, and dealt with betrayals, war, illness, and yet he wrote daily in his journal to keep his thinking sharp. Not as a ruler, but as a human being who wanted to stay grounded and wise. He knew that if he didn't control his mind, it would control him. January's meditations are like mental windshield wipers. They cut through the fog and remind us, you can't control the world. You can control how you see it. Each day, you'll be guided to strip away the noise and reconnect with what's real. You'll be asked to pause before you react, to examine your thoughts before you trust them, to learn how to observe a situation, rather than be consumed by it. One of the biggest ideas that comes through in these early pages is this: our perception shapes our reality. The things that happen to us, whether it's a missed promotion, a rough conversation, or just the slow grind of a long week, don't have meaning on their own. We assign the meaning. And when we gain clarity, we start to see situations for what they are, not what our ego or emotions make them out to be. And that's powerful. Because when you can pause, zoom out, and see things as they are, not as you wish or fear them to be, you stop getting jerked around by every little thing. You stop wasting energy. You start living with purpose. You gain what the Stoics called ataraxia, a kind of unshakable inner peace that isn't based on external success, but on internal control. Ryan Holiday, in his Modern Reflections, translates this beautifully for today's fast-paced world. He talks about learning to ignore toxic opinions, avoiding the trap of reactivity, and getting serious about what really matters. He reminds us that clarity is not just about vision, it's about values. Knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what's actually worth your time. For the busy professional, clarity means cutting through the noise and staying focused on your highest leverage actions. For the career-driven student, it's about ignoring distractions and staying centered on your long-term goals. For anyone overwhelmed by the world, it's about remembering, not everything deserves your attention. January is a daily call to sharpen your vision, of yourself, your work, and your place in the world. It's not about doing more, it's about seeing better. And when you can see better, you can live better. By the end of this month's journey, the goal isn't to have a perfect life, it's to have a clear mind. Because with that, you can face anything. Let's move into February, passions and emotions. Let's be honest, emotions are tricky. They hit fast. They hit hard. One moment you're calm and collected, and the next you're fired up from an email, a comment in a meeting, or a reminder of something that didn't go your way. Maybe it's frustration. Maybe it's anxiety. Or that subtle, simmering feeling of being overwhelmed that's always just under the surface. Sound familiar? In the month of February, the Daily Stoic turns the spotlight onto one of the most misunderstood parts of our inner world, our passions and emotions. And when the Stoics talked about passions, they didn't mean romantic love. They meant the strong, often irrational emotional reactions that hijack our ability to think clearly and act wisely. In other words, anger, envy, fear, panic, self-doubt. These are the internal storms that pull us off our path. And the Stoics weren't saying to deny your emotions or bottle them up. They weren't robots. What they were saying is this: master your emotions, or your emotions will master you. This month teaches you that emotional intelligence isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a daily practice. A form of strength. And it begins with awareness. Recognizing the moment when your heart starts racing, when your voice gets sharper, when your stomach tightens, not as a signal to explode, but as a cue to pause. Marcus Aurelius wrote about how rage makes you a puppet, how it turns you into a slave to the moment. Seneca said anger is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Epictetus reminded his students, "It's not events that disturb you. It's your interpretation of them." That quote is huge. Read it again. It's not the event. It's your interpretation of it. You can't stop people from being rude. You can't stop the world from being unfair sometimes. But you can control the story you tell yourself about it. And that story? That's what drives your emotion. In February, each daily entry is a mirror. It asks, are you reacting or responding? Are you being led by fear or guided by wisdom? Are you adding to the fire or cooling it down? And Ryan Holiday helps us bring that into our daily grind. He talks about what happens when we make emotional decisions in business, how we get impulsive, burn bridges, or miss opportunities because we're stuck in our heads instead of grounded in reality. He also reminds us that emotional mastery isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's choosing to show up calm and steady, not because you don't feel, but because you've trained yourself to lead anyway. Here's the kicker, you'll never live a life free of emotional triggers. Life will test you. People will annoy you. Circumstances will change on a dime. But your real power lies in how you handle that. Do you fall apart? Or do you fall back on your discipline? That's what Stoicism gives you. It doesn't promise a life without pain. It gives you the tools to stand tall inside it. To recognize your anger but not be controlled by it. To face fear and still move forward. To acknowledge stress and not let it break you. And for anyone navigating a high-pressure environment, whether it's boardrooms or classrooms, startups or study halls, this is gold. So this February, as the world tells you to act out of passion, the Stoics whisper something else. Hold steady. Don't react. Reflect. Don't explode. Breathe. Don't be ruled. Lead yourself first. Because when you master your emotions, you don't just find peace, you become unshakable. Next is March, awareness. Take a second. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and really ask yourself, are you truly present in your life right now? It's so easy to just move through the motions, isn't it? Wake up, get ready, check your emails, jump into meetings, scroll through social media, check things off your to-do list, rinse and repeat. We live in a world that demands our attention in a million different directions at once. It's like we're constantly being pulled away from ourselves, from what really matters, from the big picture. Yet, somewhere deep down, we know there's a better way to live. A way to break free from the autopilot mode. A way to reclaim control. And that's exactly what March, awareness in the Daily Stoic is all about. This month is about waking up. It's about becoming truly aware, not just of the world around you, but of the world inside you. Because when you're aware, truly aware, you're no longer a passive participant in your own life. You stop reacting to everything that comes your way. You stop being at the mercy of distractions, stress, and impulse. You become intentional. In Stoicism, awareness isn't just about noticing the present moment, it's about noticing where your mind is. It's about taking a step back from the daily noise to see your thoughts clearly, to watch your feelings rise and fall without becoming lost in them, and to observe your actions as they unfold. This isn't something you do once in a while. It's a constant practice, a shift in perspective that becomes the foundation of your life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, said it best. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Think about that for a second. He wasn't just talking about death. He was talking about the impermanence of life, how fleeting every moment is, how easily time slips away if we're not paying attention. This isn't some doomsday mantra. It's a call to wake up, to see life clearly, to understand that each moment is precious, and we shouldn't squander it in autopilot mode. Ryan Holiday builds on this in the book by talking about the importance of awareness in our modern world. In a society where distractions are endless, where our minds are constantly hijacked by notifications, where we're constantly rushing and overscheduling, we have to become intentional about what we pay attention to. But awareness isn't just about attention, it's about introspection. It's about taking a hard, honest look at your life and the stories you've been telling yourself. The narrative you've woven around your identity. What do you believe about yourself, about your limits, about your future? What are the unconscious biases you've been carrying around without realizing it? The truth is, we don't always notice these things. We get so caught up in what's happening out there that we forget to check in with what's happening inside. But awareness is the tool that pulls us back. Think about it. How many decisions in your day-to-day life are driven by habit, emotion, or just following what everyone else is doing? The Stoics challenge you to break free from these unconscious patterns. to step back and ask, is this the life I want to live? It's easy to get caught in the hustle, especially when you're a busy professional, an ambitious student, or someone juggling a million tasks. But let's face it, if you're not careful, you start living in a haze. You run from meeting to meeting, task to task, goal to goal, without ever asking if any of it is actually serving you. Awareness is the antidote to this. It's the pause button in a world that never stops. It's the shift that allows you to step out of autopilot and take control of your own journey. And the beauty of awareness is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't ask you to suddenly change everything about your life. It simply asks you to notice where you are right now. How are you showing up for yourself? For your goals? For the people you care about? When you start practicing awareness, it's like the fog clears. The distractions fade. You stop living in reaction to the world, and start living according to your own values, your own true purpose. When you're aware, you stop chasing after every shiny thing, and start focusing on the things that truly matter. But awareness isn't just a mental exercise, it's a way of being. In every situation, every moment, you have the ability to step back, take a breath, and assess. Instead of reacting to the stress of a meeting, you can notice how your body is tensing up, and then decide to stay calm. Instead of letting a negative comment throw off your whole day, you can become aware of the emotional pull and then choose not to let it derail you. It's about choosing to respond with intention, not just out of habit or impulse. And when you do this consistently, you start to see patterns. You start to recognize the stories you've been telling yourself that may not be true. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You realize that much of what's outside of your control, stress, external expectations, other people's actions, doesn't have to control your inner peace. The Daily Stoic helps you reframe your whole perspective by putting awareness into practice, day by day. Each page invites you to reflect and to see your life for what it truly is. Not a series of random events, but a continuous flow of moments that you can choose to experience fully. If you're a professional, this is a game changer. With awareness, you can bring clarity into your work, identify what truly drives your passion, and make choices that align with your long-term goals. If you're a student, it helps you cut through the distractions of modern education and focus on learning for its own sake, not just to tick boxes. So, as you walk through March, the invitation is clear: wake up. Pay attention. Take a moment to notice what you've been missing. Because life is happening right now, and it's waiting for you to truly show up. Let's move into April, unbiased thought. We live in a world where opinions and judgments are thrown at us constantly. Whether it's from the news, social media, or conversations with friends and family, it feels like everyone has something to say about everything. We're bombarded with information, much of it filtered through personal biases, assumptions, or preconceptions. It's easy to get lost in it all, to let these external voices shape our own thinking. But here's the question: are you thinking for yourself? April, unbiased thought in the Daily Stoic asks you to step back from all of this noise and examine your own thought process. To ask whether your thinking is truly clear, or if it's clouded by past experiences, personal biases, and the influence of others. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, lived in a time of constant political upheaval, power struggles, and public opinion. Yet, despite the chaos around him, he remained committed to examining his own thoughts and aligning them with truth, not emotion, not societal pressure, but truth. He understood that only through unbiased thinking could he make wise decisions and live a life of virtue. Ryan Holiday builds on this, stressing the importance of impartiality in our thinking. We're all prone to biases. Our upbringing, our culture, our personal experiences, all of these shape the way we see the world. But to live a life of virtue, clarity, and wisdom, we need to strip away these biases and approach situations with an open mind. This process is about cultivating objectivity. Instead of reacting emotionally or jumping to conclusions based on past experiences, you start to see things as they truly are, without judgment. When you learn to think clearly, free from bias, you can make decisions that are based on facts, logic, and reason, rather than emotional impulses or personal preferences. This isn't easy. It takes practice. But it's incredibly powerful. When you begin to notice your biases, you can question them. When you learn to see things without judgment, you can respond more thoughtfully and make better choices. You stop letting your emotions or societal pressure dictate your actions. Instead, you let your understanding of truth guide you. For busy professionals, this kind of unbiased thinking is essential. Every day, you're faced with decisions, big and small, that require clear, objective thought. Whether you're making a business deal, leading a team, or navigating complex situations, being able to separate emotion from logic gives you a significant advantage. You're less likely to be swayed by external pressures and more likely to make choices that align with your values and long-term goals. For students, unbiased thought allows you to see things with a fresh perspective. It helps you cut through the noise of academic pressure and social expectations, and focus on what's truly important: your learning, your growth, and your development. It allows you to approach problems from multiple angles, free from the limitations of your past experiences or biases. So how do we cultivate this unbiased mindset? Start by questioning everything, especially your own assumptions. Ask yourself why you think the way you do. Are you reacting because of something that happened to you in the past? Are you judging a situation based on a stereotype or a preconceived notion? It also helps to seek out other perspectives. Talk to people who think differently than you. Read books or articles that challenge your beliefs. Expose yourself to new ideas, and let them reshape your thinking. Unbiased thought doesn't mean you don't have opinions. It means you recognize when your opinions are influenced by bias, and you work to keep them in check. It means you allow yourself the freedom to change your mind when presented with new evidence, without feeling threatened by it. One powerful tool the Stoics used was the practice of journaling. Marcus Aurelius wrote down his thoughts daily, not just to record events, but to reflect on his reactions, to examine his thinking, and to question whether it aligned with virtue. This practice of self-reflection helped him recognize when he was allowing his emotions or biases to cloud his judgment, and it helped him return to a state of clear, unbiased thinking. For you, journaling might look like writing down your thoughts, reflecting on your day, and asking yourself whether you were truly objective in your decisions and actions. It's a tool for mindfulness, one that encourages you to be conscious of your thoughts and to separate what's true from what's colored by personal bias. When you start to practice unbiased thinking, you create space for better decision-making, improved relationships, and a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. You become less reactionary, more deliberate, and ultimately, more effective in all aspects of your life. As we move through April, unbiased thought, take time each day to practice this. Start noticing where your biases show up, whether it's in the way you react to certain situations, or in the assumptions you make about people or events. Challenge yourself to see things from a different perspective. Open your mind to the possibility that you might not have all the answers, and that's okay. Remember, unbiased thinking isn't about being perfect. It's about striving to see things as they really are, without distortion or prejudice. It's about embracing truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about letting go of judgment and approaching each moment with a clear, calm, and objective mind. Next is May. Willpower in a world that's constantly pulling at our attention and tempting us to stray from our goals. The power of willpower is a force we must cultivate. The ability to push forward, to say no when necessary, and to maintain focus when distractions are endless is essential to living a life of purpose. In the Daily Stoic, May, willpower asks us to tap into this inner strength and use it wisely, because it's not something we're born with in abundance, but something we can develop and sharpen over time. Willpower is a skill, not a trait. This is something the Stoics understood well. While many people may think of willpower as sheer force or an ironclad determination, the Stoics saw it as more of an art, one that is cultivated through consistent practice, self-discipline, and intentionality. It's not about trying to muscle your way through life, but about finding the strength to stay true to your values and your path, even when it feels hard. Think about how often you face temptation, distraction, or moments where you just want to take the easy way out. Whether it's resisting the urge to check your phone in the middle of a meeting, pushing yourself to work late when you'd rather rest, or sticking to a diet or exercise plan when every part of you just wants to give in, willpower is the force that keeps you on track. However, willpower isn't limitless. It's like a muscle that gets tired the more you use it. This is a critical point that the Stoics recognized. When you're faced with a decision that requires self-control, you must make sure that your willpower is being used strategically. The Stoics practiced an intentional lifestyle, one where they conserved their energy and focused their willpower on what truly mattered. They didn't waste it on trivial matters. They used it for the bigger picture, for the things that aligned with their values, purpose, and character. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, understood the importance of willpower in leadership. His ability to endure hardship, fight off distractions, and maintain his focus on his duties as ruler was, in part, due to his understanding of willpower's limits. His journals, full of reflections on his own struggles, revealed just how much effort it took to maintain control over his mind and actions. He didn't expect perfection from himself, but he worked hard every day to live with purpose. The good news is, willpower can be trained. Ryan Holiday, in the Daily Stoic, provides insight into how we can build and strengthen our willpower by controlling our impulses and recognizing when we are most vulnerable to weakness. Willpower is not just about saying no to things that are bad for us. It's also about saying yes to the things that will move us closer to our goals. It's about making those hard decisions that align with our long-term vision, not short-term pleasure. It's easy to think of willpower in terms of avoidance. But in reality, it's also about commitment, to push through when you don't feel like it, to keep moving forward even when things are tough, to stay on course when everyone around you seems to be distracted or discouraged. Willpower isn't just a reaction to temptation, it's a positive force that drives us toward our highest potential. For busy professionals, willpower is key to navigating the daily grind. When you're juggling meetings, emails, deadlines, and 1,000 other demands, it's easy to give in to distractions. But it's in those moments that your willpower matters most. It's in your ability to stay focused, to prioritize your time effectively, and to continue pushing toward your goals, no matter how overwhelmed you may feel. The same goes for students. Willpower is what allows you to study for that big exam when you'd rather be out with friends, or to finish that term paper even when procrastination feels like the easier path. It's what gets you through those tough moments when the workload feels endless, and the temptation to quit is strong. How do we build this kind of willpower? First, it's important to remember that willpower isn't all about forcing yourself to do hard things. Sometimes, it's about creating environments that make your goals easier to achieve. Set up systems that limit the need for willpower, like eliminating distractions or automating decisions. For example, if you want to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower alone to resist temptation. Prepare healthy meals in advance, so that when you're hungry, you don't have to make a decision at all. Second, focus on the long-term rewards of your actions. The Stoics taught that by keeping our attention on the bigger picture, we can endure almost any short-term discomfort. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself that everything he faced, every hardship, was an opportunity to grow in virtue. Instead of giving in to immediate gratification, he focused on the long-term value of maintaining his composure, his self-discipline, and his ability to stay true to his values. And finally, it's important to forgive yourself when your willpower slips. Nobody's perfect. We all have moments when we fall short, when we give in to temptation, or when we just don't feel like pushing forward. The key is to not beat yourself up over it, but to get back on track. Remember that willpower isn't a switch you flip on and off, it's a skill that develops over time. Every day is a new opportunity to practice it. As we move into May, willpower, ask yourself, how are you using your willpower right now? Are you focusing on the things that matter most? Or are you being pulled away by distractions, by the demands of others, or by your own impulses? The Stoic practice is about becoming more mindful of how we use our willpower, and becoming better at focusing on what's truly important. It's about creating a life of intentionality, where every action is aligned with our deepest values. Next is June. The present moment is all we really have. It's the only time that's truly ours to experience, yet so often, we find ourselves either living in the past or worrying about the future. The chaos of our busy lives can make it hard to stay grounded, to focus on what's happening right here and now. But the Stoics had an essential understanding of the present moment, and in June, the present moment, they remind us of its power. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, wrote often about the importance of being present. Despite his busy life as an emperor, he reminded himself to focus only on the current moment, not to dwell on the past or get anxious about the future. His thoughts were not of the previous day's battles or the uncertain challenges of tomorrow, but of how he could act virtuously right now. In the midst of the noise, he chose to be still and to take control of his reactions in the present. In the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday draws on this timeless wisdom and shows us that living in the present is a choice we must make every single day. We live in a world of distractions, the constant ping of notifications, the endless to-do lists, the pressure of the future, and the weight of the past. It can feel impossible to focus on the present when there's so much to think about, and so many competing priorities pulling us in different directions. But what if you could embrace the present moment in a deeper, more intentional way? What if you could find the peace and clarity that comes from staying grounded in the now? That's exactly what the Stoics encourage us to do. They didn't shy away from the challenges of life, but they chose to engage with those challenges one moment at a time, knowing that this was the only way to make meaningful progress. For busy professionals, the pressure to perform and the constant need to plan ahead can often pull us out of the present. We're always thinking about the next big meeting, the next project, or the next step in our careers. But the truth is, when we are too focused on the future, we miss out on the opportunities that are available to us right now. Whether it's in a meeting, during a conversation, or even when we're taking a break, there's value in being fully present. It's about giving your full attention to the task at hand, to the people you're interacting with, and to the work you're doing in that moment. The Stoics believe that the present moment is the only one we truly control. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain, but the now is where we can make choices that shape our lives. Every action, every word, every decision happens right now. And if we want to live a meaningful, fulfilling life, we must learn to harness the power of the present. When we focus on the present, we give ourselves the chance to live in alignment with our values, to make thoughtful decisions, and to stay true to our purpose. For students, the present moment can be a source of immense strength. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the pressures of exams, assignments, and the fear of not measuring up. The temptation is to spend time worrying about the future or regretting the past. But the Stoic philosophy teaches that the present is all we truly have. If you can focus on what's in front of you right now, whether that's studying, learning, or engaging in a conversation with a peer, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and anxiety. You're able to give your best effort to the task at hand, without the weight of what's coming next. So, how can we stay anchored in the present moment? First, we need to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully aware of the present moment. It means putting aside distractions and giving your full attention to whatever you're doing. Whether it's eating lunch, writing an email, or having a conversation, be completely present in the moment. Notice your surroundings, your thoughts, your feelings, and the sensations in your body. Don't judge them, just observe. One powerful practice the Stoics used to stay present was journaling. Marcus Aurelius, for example, used his journals as a way to reflect on his day and center his thoughts. He used this time to ground himself in the present and remind himself of what was truly important. When you write in your journal, it gives you the space to reflect on your actions and thoughts without the distractions of the outside world. It's a moment of pause, of being with yourself and your intentions. Second, we must practice gratitude. Focusing on what's happening right now means acknowledging what we have in this moment. Instead of being overwhelmed by what's missing or what's coming next, practicing gratitude helps us appreciate the present for what it is. You don't have to wait for big, life-changing events to feel grateful. It's the small things that matter, like a good conversation, a moment of peace, or the ability to simply breathe. Finally, let go of the illusion of control over the future. While planning and preparation are important, they can also create anxiety when we overemphasize them. The Stoics were deeply aware of the unpredictability of life. Rather than stressing about what might happen tomorrow, they focused on what they could do right now. What steps could they take today that would align them with their values? What actions could they control? By focusing on the present, they freed themselves from unnecessary worry and stress. When we embrace the present moment, we step into a more powerful, more intentional way of living. The distractions and anxieties of modern life no longer have the power to derail us. Instead, we make the choice to focus on what truly matters, and we take the actions that align with our deepest values and goals. In June, the present moment, remember that life is happening now. It's not happening in the past, nor in the distant future. What you do with this moment shapes your next moment, and every moment after that. Next up is July, virtue. Virtue, the heart of Stoic philosophy. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean in the context of our lives? Virtue, for the Stoics, is not just about good actions or ethical behavior, it's the very essence of a meaningful life. It's the compass that guides every decision, every thought, and every action. Without virtue, the Stoics believed, nothing else matters. No amount of wealth, success, or accomplishment could bring true fulfillment if it was not rooted in virtue. In July, Virtue, we explore what it means to live a virtuous life and how the Stoics believed that cultivating virtue was the ultimate goal of life. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, the great Stoic philosophers, all emphasized the importance of virtue in their teachings. For them, virtue was the highest good, the foundation of a life well lived. They saw virtue not just as something you achieve, but as something you continually strive for. Something that evolves through your actions, choices, and mindset. Virtue, in Stoic thought, is defined by 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues serve as the guiding principles for Stoic living. Let's break them down and see how they apply to our busy modern lives. Wisdom is the ability to understand what is truly important in life and make decisions based on that knowledge. It's not about intellectual knowledge alone, but practical wisdom, the kind that helps us navigate the complexities of life with clarity and purpose. Wisdom allows us to see through the noise of everyday distractions and make choices that align with our values. As a busy professional, wisdom is key to knowing how to prioritize your time, how to act with integrity, and how to make decisions that serve both your long-term goals and your moral compass. Courage is the strength to face challenges, to stand up for what's right, and to endure hardships with resilience. It's not about fearlessness, but about facing fear head-on and pushing forward despite it. In the professional world, courage shows up when you're asked to take risks, when you need to have difficult conversations, or when you need to stand by your principles in the face of opposition. For students, courage is the bravery to speak your truth, ask questions when you're uncertain, and challenge yourself in ways that make you grow. Justice is about fairness, integrity, and treating others with respect. It's about recognizing that our actions affect those around us and striving to create a world that is equitable and just. In our careers, justice shows up in how we treat our colleagues, how we navigate ethical dilemmas, and how we contribute to our communities. As students, justice is about standing up for those who are marginalized, treating peers with kindness, and ensuring that your actions reflect your values. Temperance is the practice of self-control and moderation. It's about knowing when to say no and when to restrain yourself from excess. In today's world, where distractions and temptations are everywhere, temperance is vital. Whether it's resisting the urge to overwork, managing your diet, or avoiding unhealthy habits, temperance helps you maintain balance and focus on what truly matters. The Stoics believed that living virtuously was the key to happiness. They saw happiness not as the result of external circumstances, but as the outcome of living a life of integrity, wisdom, and self-discipline. It's easy to think that happiness comes from success, wealth, or pleasure, but for the Stoics, true happiness comes from aligning your life with these core virtues. So how can we incorporate virtue into our busy modern lives? First, we must make virtue a priority. It's not something that happens by accident. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle of achieving external success. But without a commitment to virtue, that success can feel hollow. Take time every day to reflect on your actions and ask yourself if they align with the Stoic virtues. Are you acting with wisdom? Are you showing courage? Are you treating others with fairness? Are you practicing moderation? Second, remember that virtue is not about perfection, it's about progress. The Stoics didn't expect themselves to be perfect, and they certainly didn't expect others to be perfect. They understood that virtue was a lifelong practice. It was something to strive for, not something to achieve once and for all. If you slip up, If you lose your temper, make a bad decision, or act out of line with your values, the key is to get back on track. Every moment is an opportunity to act virtuously. Third, cultivate daily habits that support virtue. In the same way that we build physical strength by exercising regularly, we build virtue by practicing it consistently. This might mean journaling about your decisions and reflecting on how they align with your values. It might mean setting aside time for quiet reflection, meditation, or prayer. It might mean having accountability partners who help you stay true to your principles. Small, daily actions lead to big results over time. Finally, remember that virtue is about being true to yourself. The Stoics emphasize the importance of self-awareness and living authentically. Virtue isn't about trying to live up to some external standard. It's about living in alignment with your own values and being the best version of yourself. In a world that often encourages comparison and external validation, the Stoics remind us that the only measure of success that matters is whether we are living in line with our own highest ideals. In July Virtue, we're reminded that the pursuit of virtue is the pursuit of a meaningful life. By living in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we align ourselves with what's truly important. And in doing so, we create a life that is not only successful but deeply fulfilling. Let's move on to August. Practice. In August, practice, the Stoics remind us that philosophy isn't just a theoretical exercise or something to study in books. It's meant to be lived. It's meant to be practiced, day in and day out. The Stoic principles of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are not just abstract ideas. They are tools we can use to navigate the challenges of daily life. But in order to make these principles a part of who we are, we must practice them consistently. You see, anyone can talk about living a virtuous life. We can all say the right things, we can all quote the philosophers, and we can all talk about how we should act. But unless we actually put those ideas into practice, they remain just that, ideas. For the Stoics, the key to becoming a wise, courageous, and just person wasn't about accumulating knowledge, it was about doing the work. Marcus Aurelius, for example, didn't simply write in his journal about what he should do. He actively practiced the virtues every day. He would remind himself to act with kindness, to control his impulses, and to focus on the things he could control, rather than the things he couldn't. His writings were filled with reflections on how he could improve in every area of life. He didn't just theorize about being a better person, he worked at it relentlessly. Practice means showing up every day with intention, with a commitment to getting better, and with the understanding that growth is a process. It's not about being perfect right away, but about making small, intentional steps each day toward the kind of person you want to become. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we need quick fixes, that success should come instantly, or that we should already have it all figured out. But the Stoics remind us that real progress takes time, and it's the daily practice of living by our values that leads to lasting change. In a professional setting, practicing Stoic principles might mean showing up to work with focus and discipline. It's about avoiding the temptation to procrastinate, and doing the hard work when no one is watching. It's about practicing patience when things don't go your way, about remaining calm and composed when faced with criticism, and about taking responsibility for your actions instead of blaming others. For career-focused individuals, practice also involves making time for self-reflection and continuous learning. You can read all the books and attend all the seminars, but if you don't take the time to apply the lessons, then those lessons are wasted. True growth comes when we actively work to improve ourselves in real time. It's about being mindful of how we interact with others, how we deal with setbacks, and how we face challenges. Every moment is an opportunity to practice the virtues, whether it's in a meeting, a conversation, or while managing stress. For mature students, practice can look like consistency in studying, not just when the exams are near, but as an ongoing effort. It's about building a daily routine that allows you to focus on your studies, seek understanding, and apply your knowledge. It's about making the effort to engage with the material, not just memorize it. In addition to that, it's about practicing discipline in other areas of life, like managing distractions, setting boundaries, and taking care of your physical and mental health. The Stoics were not just philosophers, they were practitioners. They understood that life requires constant work and attention, and that true wisdom comes through action. In their eyes, philosophy was a tool for living, not something to be admired from afar. It was something to be integrated into everyday life, something that shaped how they woke up in the morning, how they handled adversity, and how they interacted with the world. To practice Stoicism, we must put in the work. It's about training our minds and our bodies to act in accordance with our values, even when it's hard. It's about turning the philosophy into something tangible, something we live and breathe, not just something we think about. And importantly, practice doesn't mean we won't make mistakes. The Stoics understood that failure is part of the process. When you slip up, you don't give up. You get back to practicing, you learn from the mistake, and you keep moving forward. Each day is a new opportunity to improve. So, how can you start practicing Stoicism in your own life? It begins with a commitment. A commitment to show up and do the work. It's about building habits that reinforce the Stoic virtues. That might mean setting aside time for reflection each day, journaling about your actions, or simply reminding yourself of the principles you want to live by. It's about starting small, choosing one area of your life where you want to practice and focusing on that consistently. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea of practicing virtue, remember that it's not about being perfect. The goal is progress, not perfection. Every time you make a decision that aligns with your values, you're practicing. Every time you act with wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance, you're building the habit. Over time, these practices will shape you into the person you want to become. In August's practice, the Stoics teach us that growth doesn't happen overnight. It's about committing to the daily work of living virtuously. It's about being consistent, showing up, and making small improvements every day. The key to becoming the best version of yourself isn't found in a one-time burst of effort. It's in the ongoing, everyday practice of living by your principles. Let's move on to September. The obstacle is the way. In September, the obstacle is the way, we dive deep into one of the most powerful and transformative ideas in Stoic philosophy, the belief that obstacles are not just things to be avoided or feared but are, in fact, opportunities in disguise. This principle has been encapsulated perfectly in the phrase, "The obstacle is the way," a concept that says every challenge, setback, or difficulty we face in life is a chance to grow, learn, and improve. It turns the conventional thinking on its head, urging us to not shy away from adversity but to lean into it with purpose and determination. The Stoics believed that obstacles are not just part of life, they are the very things that shape us. Without them, we wouldn't have the opportunity to practice virtue or strengthen our character. In a world that constantly tells us to avoid hardship and seek comfort, the Stoics offer a radically different perspective. The path to greatness lies in how we respond to challenges, not in avoiding them. The obstacle is the way forward. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reflected on this idea in his meditations. He reminded himself that the difficulties he faced in his reign, whether it was dealing with personal loss, political strife, or military struggles, were not hindrances but were, in fact, his opportunity to live the Stoic virtues. He would ask himself, "What is the obstacle? How can I use it to become better?" This mindset transformed every hardship into a learning experience, a chance to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. For the busy professional, the concept of "the obstacle is the way" is especially relevant. Think about the challenges you face in your workday. Whether it's a difficult project, a challenging colleague, or an unexpected setback, these obstacles often seem like roadblocks. But if we apply the Stoic perspective, we can start to see these obstacles as opportunities to grow. A tough project could be a chance to learn new skills, a challenging colleague could teach us how to be more patient and understanding, and a setback could be a valuable lesson in perseverance. In fact, the very obstacles that seem to be standing in our way might actually be the stepping stones to our next level of success. The Stoics argue that everything we encounter, every failure, every struggle, every frustration, is an invitation to practice virtue. When we encounter resistance, we're given the opportunity to practice courage, resilience, and wisdom. It's in these moments that we learn the most about ourselves. For mature students, this concept can also be incredibly powerful. The academic journey is filled with obstacles, tight deadlines, challenging material, stress, and self-doubt. It's easy to get discouraged and think that these difficulties are signs of failure. But the Stoic mindset shifts that perspective. These obstacles are not signs of weakness or failure, they are signs of progress. Each challenge you face as a student is an opportunity to practice discipline, to learn how to manage stress, and to build perseverance. Rather than viewing the obstacles as barriers, see them as the very things that will make you stronger, more focused, and more capable. The key to embracing obstacles, according to the Stoics, is to change our mindset. We must stop viewing them as things to fear and start seeing them as essential parts of our personal growth. It's about training our minds to accept that obstacles are a natural part of life and, in fact, are crucial to our development. This doesn't mean we seek out difficulty for difficulty's sake, but rather that we stop avoiding it when it inevitably arises. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can begin to ask, "What is this obstacle trying to teach me? How can I use this situation to grow?" The Stoics also believe that how we respond to obstacles is what truly matters. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. This is where true power lies, within our own reactions. The obstacle may be outside of our control, but our thoughts, actions, and mindset are always within our control. And it's this ability to control our response that allows us to turn any obstacle into an opportunity. Let's think about how we can apply this mindset in practical terms. As a busy professional, when you face a difficult situation, whether it's a tough decision, a difficult conversation, or a crisis at work, take a step back and ask yourself, what virtue can I practice here? How can I approach this obstacle with wisdom, patience, and resilience? Instead of reacting impulsively or feeling defeated, you can choose to meet the challenge with composure and purpose. For students, the same principle applies. Whether it's a tough exam, a challenging subject, or the stress of balancing school with other responsibilities, the key is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing these challenges as insurmountable, see them as opportunities to grow in your discipline, your knowledge, and your emotional resilience. Every obstacle is a chance to practice what the Stoics call the art of living. The more you practice this mindset, the more capable and empowered you will become in handling life's challenges. The Stoics teach us that life is not about avoiding obstacles, it's about learning how to face them head-on with courage and grace. It's about realizing that the path to success and fulfillment is often paved with the very obstacles we try to avoid. Every difficulty is a chance to strengthen our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. In embracing obstacles, we don't just survive life, we thrive in it. In September, The Obstacle is the Way, we are encouraged to adopt a mindset that turns obstacles into opportunities. It's about seeing challenges not as things that stand in our way but as essential parts of our growth. The obstacles we face in our personal and professional lives are not burdens. They are the very things that allow us to practice the Stoic virtues and become the best versions of ourselves. Let's dive into October. Reflection. In October, reflection, the Stoics remind us that one of the most powerful tools for growth is the ability to look inward and reflect on our thoughts, actions, and experiences. Reflection is not just about looking back at what has happened, it's about understanding it, learning from it, and using that understanding to move forward with greater wisdom and clarity. It's about actively engaging with our past to shape a better future, rather than just letting time pass by without extracting meaning from it. The Stoics understood that in the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to lose track of what truly matters. We can get caught up in the noise, work deadlines, social pressures, and the never-ending stream of distractions. But reflection invites us to pause, to step back from the chaos, and to examine where we've been, where we are, and where we want to go. It's in those moments of quiet reflection that we can find the insights and clarity we need to guide our actions. For Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and emperors, reflection was a daily practice. In his meditations, he often reflects on his own thoughts, emotions, and actions. He would ask himself questions like, "How have I acted today? Have I lived in accordance with my values? What could I have done better?" His writings are filled with moments of deep self-examination, where he considers how his actions align with his Stoic principles. It's this kind of regular reflection that helps us stay on course, even in the midst of life's challenges. In our modern world, it can be difficult to find time for reflection, especially for busy professionals and career-focused individuals. We're constantly moving from one task to the next, always rushing to meet deadlines or attend meetings. But taking time to reflect can be a game changer. It's through reflection that we can identify patterns in our behavior, uncover the reasons behind our choices, and make adjustments where necessary. It allows us to pause, take a step back, and ensure that we are moving in the right direction. For example, after a challenging meeting at work, reflection allows us to ask ourselves, how did I handle that situation? Was I calm and composed, or did I let my emotions take over? What can I learn from that interaction to handle future situations better? Instead of simply moving on to the next task, reflection helps us absorb the lessons from our experiences, making us more effective and self-aware in the long run. For mature students, reflection is equally important. Reflecting on your academic progress, challenges, and study habits can help you identify what's working and what's not. It's a chance to assess whether your current approach to learning aligns with your goals. Are you focused on the right subjects? Are you managing your time effectively? What can you do to improve your study routine? Reflection allows you to adjust your approach and refine your techniques, ensuring that you continue to grow and succeed. The Stoics didn't just reflect for the sake of reflection, they reflected with intention. Their goal was not to wallow in the past or to dwell on mistakes, but to learn from them and to move forward with clarity. Reflection is meant to be constructive, not self-critical. It's about looking at your actions, your decisions, and your experiences with a mindset of growth and improvement. The Stoics taught that every experience, good or bad, is an opportunity to learn and become a better person. It's also important to note that reflection, according to the Stoics, should be a regular practice. It's not something we do only when we face difficulties or after we've made mistakes. Reflection should be a part of our daily routine. By taking a few moments at the end of each day to reflect on our actions, we can gain insights that help us improve tomorrow. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, or simply sitting in silence, the goal is to make reflection a habit, so we can continue to grow and evolve. When we take time to reflect, we give ourselves the opportunity to make course corrections. Life doesn't always go as planned, and we're bound to face setbacks and challenges along the way. But by reflecting on those experiences, we can identify what went wrong, what we can do differently, and how we can approach future obstacles with more wisdom and resilience. Reflection allows us to adapt and grow, ensuring that we're always moving forward, even when things don't go as expected. Reflection also helps us stay grounded in our values. In the rush of everyday life, it's easy to lose sight of what's truly important. We may find ourselves reacting impulsively or making decisions that aren't aligned with our long-term goals. But by reflecting on our actions, we can reconnect with our core values and ensure that we're living in a way that is true to ourselves. Whether it's practicing patience in the face of stress or maintaining our integrity when we're tempted to cut corners, reflection helps us stay on track. As a busy professional or a mature student, the demands of life can sometimes make us feel like we're always running on empty. We may feel overwhelmed or disconnected from our purpose. But by incorporating regular reflection into our routines, we can reconnect with ourselves and our goals. It allows us to pause and evaluate whether we're moving in the right direction, or whether we need to make adjustments. It's a chance to check in with ourselves, to recalibrate, and to ensure that we're living in alignment with our values and aspirations. In October, Reflection, the Stoics remind us that we must be active participants in our own growth. Reflection isn't just about looking back at our experiences, it's about learning from them and using those lessons to guide our actions in the future. Whether you're a professional, a student, or anyone striving to live a virtuous and fulfilling life, reflection is a tool that can help you stay on course, make better decisions, and grow in wisdom and character. Let's move on to November. Embrace change. In November, Embrace change, the Stoics teach us a profound lesson about the nature of change and how we can embrace it rather than resist it. Change is an inevitable part of life, and yet many of us spend a great deal of energy trying to avoid it, resist it, or wish things could remain as they are. But the Stoics understood that change is not just a natural part of existence, it is essential for growth, progress, and the development of our character. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the fact that everything around us is constantly changing. He recognized that the nature of life is flux, that things are never the same from one moment to the next. The seasons change, people come and go, situations evolve, and what was once certain can become uncertain. This constant change is what gives life its vibrancy and potential for growth. The Stoics believed that rather than fearing change, we should learn to embrace it. They understood that resistance to change only leads to frustration and suffering. When we fight against the natural flow of life, we expend unnecessary energy that could be better used in adapting to and making the most of the changes that come our way. Life doesn't stand still, and neither should we. The Stoics believe that true freedom lies in our ability to accept and navigate change with grace and wisdom. For busy professionals and career-focused individuals, change is a constant. Whether it's shifts in the market, changes in your role, or the introduction of new technologies. Instead of resisting these changes or wishing they would stop, the Stoics encourage us to adapt and see these changes as opportunities for growth. When we accept that change is inevitable, we can approach it with a mindset of curiosity and openness, asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this change? In the workplace, change often brings challenges, but it also brings new opportunities for innovation, learning, and development. For instance, when a company undergoes a restructuring or shifts its strategy, employees might feel uncertain or anxious about what's to come. But rather than fearing the unknown, the Stoics encourage us to view this as an opportunity to practice resilience and adaptability. Every change, whether it's a promotion, a new project, or a shift in direction, can be a chance to develop new skills, refine old ones, and prove our ability to thrive in an ever-changing world. The same applies to mature students who may face changes in their academic journey, whether it's a change in curriculum, a new learning environment, or even changes in their personal life that affect their studies. Change can be unsettling, especially when we've become comfortable with a particular routine or way of doing things. But the Stoic approach helps us reframe our thinking. Rather than seeing change as something to fear or resist, we can view it as an opportunity to practice flexibility and resilience. It's a chance to build new strengths, adapt our approach, and grow as learners and individuals. The Stoics also remind us that while we can't always control the changes that happen around us, we always have control over how we respond to them. It's our response that determines whether we will thrive or struggle in the face of change. When we embrace change rather than fight it, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and frustration. We stop wasting energy on things beyond our control and focus instead on what we can control: our attitudes, our mindset, and our actions. One of the most powerful aspects of the Stoic approach to change is the idea of amor fati, which means love of fate. This is the Stoic practice of not just accepting change, but embracing it fully. It's about welcoming whatever comes your way, good or bad, as part of the natural order of things. Instead of resenting change or wishing things were different, we learn to love and appreciate the changes that shape our lives. This mindset allows us to move through life with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that everything that happens is part of a larger, interconnected process that is beyond our control. When we adopt the mindset of amor fati, we begin to see change not as something disruptive or negative but as something that enriches our experience. Every change, every challenge, every unexpected turn is an opportunity for us to grow, learn, and adapt. The more we embrace change, the more we find ourselves becoming resilient, flexible, and open to the possibilities that life presents. For professionals, the world of work is increasingly dynamic, with constant shifts in industries, technologies, and work cultures. Embracing change means staying ahead of the curve, adapting to new tools and systems, and being willing to evolve as the world around you does. The most successful people in today's fast-paced world are not those who resist change, but those who are willing to learn, grow, and adjust their approach as needed. For students, embracing change is equally important. Whether it's the shifting demands of a new semester, changes in your personal life, or even the evolution of your academic interests, being adaptable and open to change allows you to navigate your academic journey with more ease and confidence. Change doesn't have to be something that overwhelms you. It can be the catalyst for personal development and academic success. In November, Embrace change. The Stoics encourage us to stop fighting against the inevitable and instead embrace change as an essential part of life's journey. By adopting a mindset of openness, resilience, and a more fatty, we can turn change into an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Life's challenges and transformations are not obstacles to our happiness or success. They are the very things that make us stronger, wiser, and more capable. Let's continue with December. Live in harmony. In December, live in harmony. The Stoics remind us of one of the most profound and often overlooked truths of life: harmony. We're not talking about external harmony in the sense of getting along with others, though that's important. Instead, we're talking about the internal harmony that arises when our thoughts, actions, and emotions are in alignment with the natural order of the world. When we live in harmony with the world around us and our own inner nature, we experience peace, balance, and a deep sense of fulfillment. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the idea that everything in the universe is interconnected and part of a larger, natural order. The Stoics believe that each of us is a small part of this greater whole, and our lives are most meaningful and fulfilling when we live in accordance with this natural flow. This means accepting the things we cannot control, understanding our place in the world, and striving to align our actions with virtue and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of harmony in his meditations. He frequently reminded himself that he was just one piece of a vast, interconnected universe. His life, like everyone else's, was part of a much larger tapestry, and it was essential to live in harmony with that grand design. Instead of fighting against the flow of life, he urged himself to embrace his role and live according to nature's principles. By doing so, he believed he could live a peaceful and virtuous life. In the modern world, living in harmony can feel like a challenge. With the constant demands of work, family, and personal responsibilities, it's easy to feel pulled in many directions. We often try to control things that are outside our influence, which leads to frustration, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection. But the Stoics remind us that peace and fulfillment come from accepting that we cannot control everything. We are not responsible for the outcomes of every situation, nor should we feel the need to micromanage life. What we can control is our response to the events that unfold and our ability to stay grounded in our values, no matter what. For busy professionals and career-focused individuals, the pressure to succeed can sometimes create internal conflict. We may become obsessed with achieving specific goals or outcomes, feeling that we must control every aspect of our work and life. But in doing so, we risk losing sight of the bigger picture, the natural flow of life that is constantly unfolding around us. By embracing the Stoic practice of harmony, we can let go of the need for control and instead focus on doing our best in each moment, trusting that the results will unfold as they should. For example, let's say you're dealing with a difficult situation at work. Maybe a project isn't going as planned, or you're facing a conflict with a colleague. It's easy to get frustrated or to feel like you have to fix everything immediately. But living in harmony means recognizing that not everything is in your control. You can't control how others behave or how circumstances unfold, but you can control how you respond. If you approach the situation with patience, understanding, and a focus on your own actions, you'll find that you're better able to navigate challenges without getting overwhelmed. Living in harmony also means recognizing the importance of balance. It's not just about aligning yourself with the world around you. It's also about aligning your internal world. The Stoics were keenly aware that human beings are driven by emotions and desires that can often lead us astray. They taught that true harmony comes from within, from mastering our impulses and aligning our thoughts and actions with reason and virtue. This internal harmony allows us to remain calm and composed, even in the face of external chaos. For mature students, living in harmony can be especially important as you juggle multiple responsibilities. School, work, personal life. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of assignments, deadlines, and exams, but the Stoics would advise you to focus on maintaining a sense of balance. By prioritizing your well-being, practicing self-compassion, and staying grounded in your values, you can find peace even amid the demands of academic life. When you live in harmony with your own needs, goals, and the natural flow of life, you'll be able to manage stress more effectively and achieve your academic and personal goals with greater ease. Living in harmony with nature also means accepting that life will always have its ups and downs. There will be moments of joy and moments of sorrow, times of success and times of failure. But instead of resisting the inevitable changes that come our way, the Stoics teach us to accept them as part of the natural order. Everything, whether good or bad, is part of the flow of life, and by accepting it, we can find peace. The Stoic ideal of harmony is also deeply connected to the concept of virtue. The Stoics believe that living a virtuous life, one guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, was the key to true happiness. When we live in harmony with our values and strive to act in accordance with virtue, we experience a deeper sense of fulfillment. Our actions align with our higher purpose, and we find contentment not in external achievements, but in the integrity of our character. For the busy professional or career-focused individual, this means focusing less on external validation, such as promotions, praise, or recognition, and more on the quality of your character. Are you acting with integrity? Are you doing your best to contribute to your workplace and community? Are you living in alignment with your values? By focusing on internal harmony and virtue, you'll find that external achievements come as a natural byproduct of living a purposeful, value-driven life. In December, Live in Harmony, the Stoics encourage us to recognize that true peace comes when we align ourselves with the natural flow of life and the universe. By accepting what we cannot control, focusing on our values, and striving to live in harmony with ourselves and the world around us, we can experience a deeper sense of fulfillment, balance, and tranquility. It's not about eliminating conflict or avoiding challenges, but about maintaining our internal harmony even when external circumstances are less than ideal. As we wrap up the Daily Stoic, it's clear that Stoic wisdom offers timeless guidance for navigating the complexities of modern life. For busy professionals and students, Stoicism teaches that while we can't control everything around us, we can control how we respond. This mindset frees us from unnecessary stress, helping us focus on what truly matters: our thoughts, actions, and values. True success doesn't come from external achievements, but from living with integrity, aligning our actions with our core beliefs, and finding peace in the present moment. The Stoics also remind us to embrace change, not resist it. Life will always be in flux, but each change offers an opportunity for growth. Through daily reflection, we can stay grounded and keep our goals aligned with our values. Resilience in the face of adversity is another key lesson. Life's challenges aren't roadblocks, but stepping stones to building strength and character. Ultimately, happiness doesn't come from external sources. It's cultivated from within, through gratitude, acceptance, and living according to our highest virtues. Meaningful relationships and a balanced life built on emotional resilience make a fulfilling existence. Stoicism gives us the tools to not just survive but thrive, finding peace and purpose no matter what life throws our way. If you found this summary insightful and valuable, don't forget to show your support by subscribing to the Mindful Brief on YouTube. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this audiobook summary, share it with your peers, friends, or family who might benefit from it, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Your engagement helps us create more in-depth and valuable content for you. Stay tuned for more summaries, insights, and strategies to elevate your knowledge and career. Subscribe now and be part of the journey.